Okay, sorry. Clair Hawkins, Labour parliamentary candidate for Dover and Deal. Thank you. I am thrilled to have been selected to front the campaign for my home constituency, a constituency of the White Cliffs, the former East Kent coalfields and the port of Dover, which is still hanging under threat of privatisation, something the people of Dover and Deal will not accept and the Tory-led government must not allow. Tories, when in charge, have generally signalled bad news for jobs in Dover and Deal, closing the pits in the 80s, restructuring at the port in the 90s, the loss of thousands of jobs at nearby Pfizer. And right now, many people and families are suffering from the failed economic policies of the Tory-led government in Dover and Deal, a constituency that shows why the South must be at the heart of Labour's campaign to rebuild the economy and rebuild Britain. Conference, we know Tory austerity isn't working. Their priorities, their understanding, they're all wrong. In Dover District, 9% of 18 to 24-year-olds are unemployed, a tragic waste of talent and potential. As well as on the doorstep, I see the consequences of government cuts and ideology in my day job with Skills Factory, a coalfield regeneration trust-funded scheme to support people into employment and into training. I see people with disabilities and facing barriers to employment being hit hard, very often by Atos, which is why it is absolutely right that Labour has committed to a thorough review of the work capability assessment. I also speak to many people who are underemployed, forced into part-time work when they want full-time employment, or facing an uncertain future on a short-term or a zero-hours contract. I've spoken to many families facing a cost of living crisis, people in work and on benefits finding it difficult to pay their bills with rises in food, energy and transport costs. In Deal, I am supporting churches and community groups starting a food bank, but I find the need for this a disgrace. The welfare state should be the safety net. It shouldn't need one. When Labour left office in 2010, the economy was growing, but under this Tory-led government, borrowing has increased, national debt has gone up, we are in a double-dip recession and the government's own deficit reduction targets are pretty much out of the window. It is Labour with the plans to rebuild the economy, big ideas to rebuild Britain, not break up and sell off Britain. Big ideas to take on the vested interests of the banks and the energy companies. Big ideas to provide more apprenticeships and affordable housing. And that is why I am proud to be a Labour candidate and would be proud to return my home constituency to Labour, ensuring we deliver a Labour government and deliver real change for the people of Dover and Deal. Thank you.
Looking.
Conference, Tristan Osborne, newly selected parliamentary candidate for Chatham and Aylesford and ward councillor for Luton and Wayfield. And Conference, probably the candidate with the worst surname at the present time as well. Proud to represent my home, which I was raised and educated. Proud to represent a diverse ward in an area which Labour needs to win back in 2015. Conference, Medway and Aylesford are being let down by 3 Conservative MPs, one from an extremist wing within his own party and whose fondness for a tipple led him to miss the first budget vote in 2010, aptly named Reckless. Another who is a serial rebel who has sat on the fence as Kent County Council has voted to cut bus service budgets and supported the privatisation of care homes in our community, Tracy Crouch. And last of all, one that has been absent without leave over the last 6 months, who has missed countless votes in Westminster, except those which Cameron's whips keep an eye on, who is letting his residents down in Gillingham and Raynham, Raymond Chisty. 3 Medway MPs, Reckless, hopeless and mindless. Conference, it's bad enough that we are suffering from this poverty of representation, but our community is also under threat from a clear and present danger. This danger, which was forged in the coveted halls of the London Conservative machine, which would see the destruction of historic villages and churches, forced relocation of 20,000 people, the bulldozing of a site of special scientific and natural interest, and the turning of the Garden of England into a car park. A proposal which will fundamentally change what it means to live in the estuary, from Thurrock in the west to Gillingham and Gravesham to Sittingbourne to Southend. A proposal which will see our communities blighted with the noise, pollution and congestion to boot. Conference, I talk about the estuary airport proposals. As Richmond votes for a referendum on Heathrow and Zach Goldsmith threatens to resign, our MPs in Kent have sat back for 4 years and let plans develop. Our MPs have left the campaign to local councils, whose own local enterprise partnerships has given the green light to long-term aviation expansion. Conference, my residents need to have certainty to plan their lives and futures. The constant dithering and delay has caused immense upset, with house prices threatened and communities left feeling insecure. The estuary airport proposals are not a viable solution for the long term, and it's time Boris Johnson took his blonde harebrained schemes elsewhere. If our Conservative MPs are unwilling to step up, give our residents a say, then they will look to Labour locally, who won't shirk from our responsibilities to stand up for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.